I call this regular meeting of the Comal ISD Board of Trustees to order at 7 p.m. on June 25th, 2026. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.071 through 551.089. Good evening, board members, district staff members, and members of the audience. We'll begin this meeting as we do every meeting. You are free to join me in standing as Miss Amy Shaw leads us in a word of prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and pledge to the Texas flag.
Let us pray together if you so choose. As we gather this evening, we pause to reflect with gratitude on the many people who make our schools strong and our students successful. We give thanks for our families whose encouragement, sacrifices, and partnership support learning every day. We are grateful for our teachers who share their knowledge, patience, and dedication, and for our staff members whose hard work behind the scenes helps our schools thrive. As we prepare for the school year ahead, may we all remember that strong public schools are built through a shared commitment. May our community continue to support, encourage, and invest in the education of all children. May we work together with respect, understanding, and a common purpose so that every student has the opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed. With gratitude and hope for the future, in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. As a district, we dedicate all our efforts and resources to our motto, Growing Greatness. The board uses this motto to guide all deliberations, decisions, and actions. You will get to see all deliberations, decisions, and actions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in a closed session as stipulated in the Texas Government Code Section 551, commonly known as the Open Meetings Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with our attorney, and real estate. For the record, the board members present are David Krasinski, Amanda Jones, Russ Garner, Vic Reyna, Amy Shaw, and myself, Courtney Biasotti. We constitute a quorum and may conduct business on behalf of the district. Before moving on to the next agenda item, I'd like to remind you that the board will accept comments from citizens of the district and from district employees. Persons who wish to speak during public comment audience participation must have completed a form for this purpose and placed it in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. When the board addresses agenda item 3, public comment audience participation, you'll be invited to the podium to speak to the board. The first agenda item is item number 2, board recognitions. I will turn it over to Ms. Christina Eckert.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Chapman. We are excited to share recognitions with you this evening. We appreciate the students and the parents who took time out of their schedules to join us to be recognized. We'd like to let parents know that there will be time after every recognition to take photos of your students. We begin tonight by recognizing our state track honorees. This year, all 5 Comal ISD high schools had athletes competing in the state UIL track meet in Austin, bringing home an impressive 5 champion titles and gold medals and 1 bronze medal. Our 2026 UIL state track meet honorees are from Canyon High School, freshman Sophia Martinez. She captured the 6A state championship in the high jump. Track coach from Canyon High School, Peter Pardo. A junior from Smithson Valley, Sophia Mitschke, who earned the gold medal in pole vault. With her coach, Jacob Ulbricht. Congratulations. Our next honorees represent the best of our academic UIL competitors this year. They come from one campus, Hill Country College Preparatory High School. 2 Falcon teams earned first place in their categories at the state 3A meet, and 2 individuals brought home silver and bronze medals. First, the Falcon speech team, which took first place overall with combined scores from Lincoln Douglas debate, persuasive speaking, and cross-examination debate. Team members with us tonight. First, William Young, who tied for the bronze medal in Lincoln Douglas debate. Bella Villarreal. Go ahead. Good. Keshav Singh. With their speech and debate coach, Kaylee Franklin, here tonight. Congratulations. Next, we have the Falcon Computer Science team, which also placed first at the state 3A UIL competition. Team members with us tonight, Brennan McKee from Hill Country College Prep. Ty Fonseca, who also earned the silver medal in the Computer Science Academic Contest. I will call both of you at the same time. And Keshav Singh, who is also representing Ben Corson, who could not be here with us tonight. Congratulations. And Jennifer Fay, their sponsor from Hill Country College. Congratulations. Next, we're going to honor several students named Outstanding Performer at the UIL Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest. Now, to earn this distinction, a student must receive a Division I superior rating on a Class I solo and be selected by the room judges as the single most exceptional performance of the entire contest day. So these are really the cream of the crop, the top tier of high school musicians in Texas. We are recognizing tonight Lauren Davila from Canyon Lake High School, Outstanding Performer Vocal Solo. Zach Hannenberg from Canyon High School, also Outstanding Performer, recognized for 2 categories, Keyboard, Percussion Solo, and Music Theory. Charlie Griffiths from Canyon High School, Outstanding Performer, Music Theory. With the Director of Bands from Canyon High School, Stephen Baden. Congratulations. Our final honor this evening recognizes the district's music program, which earned the 2026 Best Communities in Music Education Award for the 7th consecutive year. This national award recognizes school districts that lead the way, advancing music education and expanding access for all students. representing the district's 84 music educators tonight. We have James Hargreaves from Smithson Valley Middle School Band. Kim Curtis from Timberwood Park Elementary School. Karen Helsley from Churchill Middle School Orchestra. And from Canaan High School Band, Stephen Vaden. That concludes our recognitions tonight. Congratulations.
All right, the next agenda item is number 3, public comment audience participation. Persons who wish to speak during public comment audience participation must have completed a form for this purpose and placed it in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. Ms. Comstock, do we have any requests? Right. Before we begin, I'll remind our audience members of the board's procedure for handling public comment audience participation. Anyone interested to speak in person during public comment audience participation must have completed a form and listed the topic they wish to discuss prior to the start of the meeting. Each speaker will be allowed to speak once during public comment audience participation and will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board dictated by Board Policy BED Local. Because the board wants to hear from as many of you as possible while also keeping the meeting running efficiently, groups of more than 5 people who want to present a particular viewpoint on a topic should appoint one person to speak on behalf of their group. Please remember that the board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included on the agenda for this meeting, and board members will listen to comments but will not respond or answer questions. We also ask that you do not discuss students who are not your own. The timer will be shown on the screen in front of you and will begin when you arrive at the microphone to speak. Again, that speaker presentation will be limited to 3 minutes. Our first speaker this evening is Mr. Orlando Dona.
Hello, my name is Orlando Dona, and I live in Comal County, Precinct 207. Have had 3 of my children graduate from Comal ISD, so thank you. I'm a former high school vice principal, department head of mathematics, a college professor, and I'm a retired principal certified Comal ISD teacher and veteran of Smithson Valley and Davenport High Schools. 2 weeks ago, a convention was completed in Houston where a number of items related to Texas education were expanded on and will be going to the Texas Congress for action. Many of these are already Texas law, and some will become law in the next 1 to 2 years. Here's a quick recap of upcoming potential changes for education that you may soon see that will affect Comal ISD. Principle number 7, parents have the complete freedom of choice for the education of their children and where and by whom they acquire their knowledge. Plank 95, grooming of minors. We are working with the Texas legislature to ensure Texas schools, libraries, and contracted vendors vet and immediately remove inappropriate and harmful content. We are working to ensure school employees who break these laws have their teaching licenses revoked. Sadly, these books are available right now to your children. Books such as Allegedly, a Novel, are available online to our children right now. ignoring the 238 examples of the F word, the P word, etc. And I'm not going to insult your intelligence, dignity, or sweetness of mind by reading any more about it. We've got to make the foot dragging on getting rid of these things go away. Planks 99 and 101, Texas legislators will ensure our schools teach a strong foundation and patriotism for history. We have abandoned civics and patriotism for too long now. We're going back to loving America. Plank 106, representatives and senators will ensure we are educating our youth on humanity and the dignity of the preborn. Plank 110, legislators will revise Chapter 11 of the Texas Education Code to more clearly define and strengthen school board authority, remove barriers to trustees accessing information or district property, operational access, so you can go directly to individual trustees when Texas laws are violated. Plank 250, we will be working closely with legislators to disrupt school board trustee candidates who make claims about who they are and work behind the scenes to drag their feet when implementing make sense Texas laws. They find loopholes to allow students access to prohibited materials. They turn a blind eye to materials in violation of law, or at least in violation of good sense or morality. We're looking at ISD Board of Trustee elections to be conducted on a partisan basis, with candidates filing under a recognized political party. Our hope is that we can see the nonsense that you see with books in the library go away. That's all I have. Thank you for your attention in this matter.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Ms. Samantha Elbel.
Alrighty, I'm back by popular demand. My name is Samantha Elbel, and I've lived in Garden Ridge since 1993. At our last meeting, I shared my concerns about eliminating tuition-based pre-K in Comal ISD, particularly how it impacts the hardworking taxpayers in our community. Today, as I was able to unfinish my remarks, I'd like to briefly cover the remaining points. Comal ISD has said that it needed to phase out tuition-based pre-K immediately due to House Bill 2 and the presence of local providers in our area, even though those providers are limited and do not meet the needs of most working families. This rationale does not align with what I learned from Representative Isaac Buckley or Senator Campbell, who have all confirmed that the school districts actually have until 27-28 to phase out these programs, giving families in district more time to adapt and plan. Additionally, both the Texas Education Agency and Region 20 informed me directly that neither required, recommended, or guided Comal ISD to end the tuition-based pre-K before that timeline. In their words, the pre-K support team has not recommended or guided Comal ISD to end its tuition-based pre-kindergarten program before 27-28 school year and is not overseeing House Bill 2 tuition process. Starting in the 26-27 school year, Garden Ridge Elementary will have neither tuition-based nor state-based pre-K. My husband, a police officer, and I, a nurse, depend on these programs for our children's growth. Carly was part of the first pre-K program from Garden Ridge. It was wonderful. I, a nurse, depend on these programs for our children's growth and our family's ability to function. Now our youngest daughter will miss out on the strong foundation our other children's received. Also, if we were to qualify for state-based program, we would be assigned to a campus up to 30 minutes away, while we are still expected to get our children to Garden Ridge. This is an impossible situation for most working parents, including local teachers and military. Local private options do not meet the needs of full-time parents. I am disheartened that this decision could easily be reversed for schools like Garden Ridge, who have both the staff and the space, which I have confirmed. Regarding enrollment, the administration has referred to the numbers of Garden Ridge Elementary to justify phase-out. However, after speaking with the pre-K teacher directly, I learned that the class recently had 18 students, 8 whom became eligible for state-based pre-K under House Bill 2, and their children of military families and teachers. This means that tuition-based and state-based pre-K students were learning side by side, resulting in a full and diverse classroom environment. Not only did this model meet the needs of our community, but it also brought valuable federal funding through the presence of local military families and federal employees like myself. Gosh darn, I always run out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Mr. Tristan Cleve.
Board, good evening. My name is Tristan Cleve. I am a graduate of Canyon High School, a citizen of Comal County, and the son of a career military officer. And I'm here to talk to you about Comal ISD's Freedom Week, or Celebrate Freedom Week, and the curriculum. Celebrate Freedom Week, if you're not familiar with it, was actually passed in 2001 by the Texas 77th Legislature. It's House Bill 1776 that mandates under Texas Code 29907, schools must observe a week of containing September 17th, which is Flag Day, Constitution Week, through the entire week, and teach a curriculum that mandates week-long curriculum intended to educate students on the sacrifices and founding values of the United States. This initiative would expand what I've given you is a 8-point curriculum just to add to the curriculum we currently have, kind of an outline, but I'll continue to add to it and email it to you. But this initiative would expand Comal ISD's current minimum curriculums to help the district push to meet all of the state's laws, and intended to help elevate Comal ISD as one of the pro-American and most freedom-aligned districts in all of Texas, if not all of America. We believe this can be accomplished through civic literacy, veteran and military engagement, experiential learning, and inclusive participation for all of our different student groups. The program would leverage Comal ISD's proximities to Military USA, which is San Antonio, and its large population of retired service members that retire here to our community, as well as Comal ISD's proximity to Patriot Academy, a premier training ground for young American patriots that wish to pursue training for government and leadership positions in the future. The initiatives are probably not too much different than what we typically do, but they would add several different opportunities that I think we should consider adding to, particularly since this is the 250th year of the United States of America. Some of them are simple day-to-day activities like inviting different marginalized or groups that may not typically participate in flag raising to do that at the beginning of each day and to take them down, to take our ROTC students and allow them to rotate to different schools to help our youth at middle schools and primary schools actually go out and understand why we raise the flags each day, what the flags represent, what they mean, and to have a better connection to it. In addition to just raising the flags, rotating the flags through to different flags that we might have had throughout the United States history. I've provided some examples in the handouts I gave to you. Additionally, some of the things that I think would be most prudent would a trip to Fort Sam Houston Cemetery, where veteran honor guards can speak to our students, explaining to them why we do things like drape flags across coffins, hear about the different medals that our service members receive, things like the Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, Civil Service Awards, as well as to take and send some of our students to Patriot Academy in order to meet with its founder, Rick Green, to hear about some of the programs they have to offer and the historical lessons that our founding fathers pushed forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Miss Debbie Leimbach.
Good evening, Superintendent Chapman and trustees. Risk management requires identifying foreseeable concerns and providing families with the information necessary to make informed decisions for their own children. An example I'm using tonight is By the Time You Read This, I Will Be Dead by Julianne Peters, is available at Davenport and Piper High Schools. The district's overview describes a bullied high school student who's planning suicide despite the efforts of another student to help her. The novel ends with the main character completing her suicide. The final sentence reads, "It's time. With determination and purpose, I head into the light." Amazon includes this disclaimer. Please note that due to the sensitive nature of the material in this book, we will be providing back matter from key experts. My concern tonight is not that this book discusses suicide. My concern is that it describes suicide methods that raises legitimate questions about student safety, duty of care, and district liability. On page 24, a fictitious website within the novel titled Ways to Go rates suicide methods from 1 to 5 based on effectiveness, availability, and pain. Example, bleeding to death. Effectiveness, 4 to 5 if you cut an artery, otherwise 1 to 2. Time, minutes to hours. Availability, 5, razor sharp knives are best. Razor blades are difficult to hold when they're covered in blood. Pain, 2 to 3 hertz at first. Strength and determination are required to cut deeply into groin or carotid arteries, which are the only wounds likely to kill you. Cutting your throat is difficult due to the fact that carotid arteries are protected by your windpipe. If you cut your wrist, cut along the blue vein on the underside of your arm. A hot bath helps keep the blood flowing and slows down clotting. Position yourself so your wrist doesn't fall inward against your body, blocking off blood flow. This example is not a discussion of grief, mental health, or recovery. It is instructional information regarding suicide methods, and this is only one of 14 methods described throughout the book. As trustees, you're responsible for balancing educational value with foreseeable risk. I leave you with this question. If a student were harmed after accessing material that provides detailed descriptions of suicide methods, could this district confidently explain why providing that information to minors was educationally necessary and why the foreseeable risks were considered acceptable? Thank you, and you have handouts of the other 14.
Thank you. Our final speaker this evening is Ms. Christina Slowey.
Hi, good evening, board members, Dr. Chapman. I am not here to argue or blame. I'm here to share something from my heart. We have an amazing school board, superintendent administration. I've been fortunate to work alongside some of you. I do agree with the 1,300 community members that have signed the petition asking that you maintain the partnership with the Bulverde Police Department and keep the current school resource officers in place. School safety is about having trusted individuals who know our students, understand our schools, and have built meaningful relationships with over time. The Bulverde Police Department school resource officers are not strangers walking into our schools each day. They know our students by name, recognize when a student is struggling, and have earned the trust of teachers, parents, and administrative through their years of dedicated service. These officers do far more than respond to emergencies. They serve as mentors, role models, and positive influences in the lives of our children. Their presence helps create an environment where students feel safe, supported, and comfortable seeking help when they need it. Those relationships cannot be replaced overnight. In the same way, we all know a teacher that builds a strong relationship with their students is far more effective than one that does not. These SROs are valuable because of the time and effort spent on these campuses. I respect all law enforcement professionals. I come from law enforcement professionals and have no doubt of their professional ability as officers, but replacing the current SROs would disrupt the trust, familiarity, and sense of security that have been carefully built over many years. Effective school safety depends on not only on training and response times, but also on relationships, consistency, and a deep understanding of a campus community. Speaking as a mother, in December of 2021, my son was a student at Spring Branch Middle School during the nationwide school shooting threat that was popularized on TikTok. We all remember that. There was significant fear and hundreds of kids stayed home, but I felt completely safe sending my son, my most trusted asset, to school because I knew that Officer Cerna was there. Not just an officer, but an officer I knew would lay down his life for my child. That made a huge difference for me. Students, parents, and teachers have witnessed firsthand the positive impact of these officers and have made. Removing them would create a void that could affect both the physical safety and emotional well-being of our students. And while I understand there are other things at play, replacing our BPT officers with we, the community, firmly believe those benefits do not outweigh the proven years of dedicated service, relationship building, and harmonious interdependent relationships. So I urge you to go back to the drawing board and do what is necessary to continue this ongoing partnership with a proven track record. Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, our next agenda item is number 4, Board President's Comments. I just have a few wins I would like to mention. I'm sure if you follow anything Comal ISD, you've seen these, but I feel like it's very important to bring it up. One, Comal ISD was, they won the award for Texas Way District of Distinction. Out of 1,032 districts in the state, they were one of 39 to win this distinction, which is huge. Davenport High School winning the Lone Star Cup for the 25-26 school year. I believe it has not been won in this area in 20 years, 21 years, 30, 40, 50? Only 4. A long time. Only 4 districts ever, or 4 schools ever in the San Antonio area. So that's a huge win, and we will be celebrating Davenport Lone Star Cup once school kicks back up in the fall. And my final comment is we would like to wish a happy birthday to Mr. Vic Reyna. We didn't know he was going to spend his birthday with his favorite people up here. Right? All right. The next agenda item is number 5, Superintendent Reports and Board Information, and 5A, Board Assignments and Committees. Do I have to read this whole thing? Okay. So every year, board members, we are assigned to different committees to support the district. So for the 26-27 school year, our Comal ISD Council of PTAs board representative will be Miss Amanda Jones. Our Tex EdCon representative will be Miss Amy Shaw as a delegate, and I will be her alternate. The School Health and Advisory Council, which we call the SHAC, will be Mr. David Krasinski. Comal Education Foundation representatives will have 2, Miss Amy Shaw and Mr. Vic Reyna. Safety and Security Committee, myself and Russ Garner will serve this year. On the Audit Committee, we will have 3 board members, Mr. Vic Reyna, Mr. Tim Hennessy, and Mr. David Krasinski. And our District Site-Based Decision-Making Committee, which we refer to as the DEIC, is Mr. Russ Garner. So thank you all for volunteering yet again for another position, but we feel like these committees are very important and support the district in necessary ways. So board members, are there any questions regarding assignments and committees? I sure hope not. All right, the next agenda item, why'd you look at me like that, Mr. Krasinski? Is 5B, Bond Construction and Capital Project Update. I will turn it over to Mr. Mark Stahl and Ms. Jenny Hale.
Good evening, Madam President, Trustees, and Dr. Chapman. We are pleased to present the June update on our Bond and Capital Projects program. This update highlights the continued progress across multiple campuses and reinforces our commitment to delivering high-quality facilities aligned with district priorities. Jenny Hale will follow with a financial overview of the program. All projects presented this evening directly support the collaborative vision and strategic plan, ensuring our capital investments align with long-term enrollment growth and instructional needs. I will begin with key updates from Bond 2021, which is moving toward the final stages of implementation. At Canyon High School, the JROTC and CTE project has completed design and bidding and is now moving through permitting. The site is located adjacent to the Fine Arts Building as reflected on the slide. Construction is scheduled to begin this summer with completion targeted for August 2027.
The Bond 2021 Kenyon High School projects are currently budgeted at $37.2 million. At this time, just under $3 million has been spent towards HVAC controllers, the main campus refresh, the design work for the JROTC and CTE building. We expect financial activity to intensify in the coming months as construction efforts continue.
Bond 2021 is now in its final phases, with all projects either complete or actively underway. Remaining efforts largely tied to summer execution as we move toward full program closeout.
Voters approved $445.8 million in November of 2021 for projects including new campuses, buses, land acquisition, and technology upgrades across the district. To date, approximately $393 million, or 88.3% of the total, has been spent towards completion of these projects.
I'll now move us on into the Bond 2023 program, which represents a highly active portfolio of projects at varying stages of design and construction. At Major Middle School, the building is advancing toward enclosure as exterior systems continue to progress. At the same time, primary MEP systems are being installed, and interior spaces are beginning to take shape. The project remains on track for the summer 2027 completion.
The construction momentum is mirrored financially, showing an increase in activity as invoices are paid and processed. The construction of Major Middle School is currently budgeted at $123.5 million, with approximately $68 million, or about 55%, being spent. The financial activity will continue to follow major milestones for Major Middle School.
The Light Bridges project has completed foundation work with vertical construction ongoing. MEP systems are in the beginning stages of installation. The project remains on schedule for a late fall 2026 completion.
That transition is reflected in the financials, with early expenditures typical of this stage and steady increases expected as work continues. The Life Bridges Replacement Campus carries a budget of $15.9 million, with just over 4% being spent. This is about 25%. As we approach major construction milestones, we anticipate a consistent and measurable increase in expenditures over the coming months.
At Elementary School number 22, site work.
There it goes.
At Elementary School number 22, site work and utility installation are advancing in unison. The project is transitioning from earthwork into structural phase, with the contractor fully mobilized. It remains on track for the 2027 completion.
Given the project's current phase, expenditures remain appropriately low, with increased activity expected as the vertical construction begins. Elementary School number 22 carries a budget of $71.8 million, with just under $10 million, or 14%, spent as dirt work, excavation, utility, and foundation work progress.
Elementary School number 21 has completed design development and is now focused on site coordination and infrastructure planning. The project continues advancing toward construction readiness and remains on schedule for a fall 2028 opening.
At this stage, we are seeing initial design-related expenditures, with additional activity expected as the project advances into the next stages.
At Smithson Valley High School, the new JROTC and wrestling facility is nearing enclosure, with roofing and MEP system installation continuing to progress. As shown in the video, the JROTC drill pad has been poured at the rear of the new building. The new facility is taking shape in a way that blends seamlessly with the overall campus aesthetic. Inside the main building, interior improvements in the athletic areas are also advancing, with cinder block and drywall being installed to form a new layout. The project remains on track for completion in August of 2026.
With demolition complete and renovation work underway, we're seeing continued financial engagement that mirrors the construction pace. The Smithson Valley renovation projects have expensed just under $21 million, representing 68% of the budget. As the interior work accelerates on the dance, cheer, and athletic spaces, we anticipate additional financial commitments in the near future.
The next few slides highlight projects delivered through the Bond 2023 system packages, where we are implementing coordinated infrastructure upgrades across multiple campuses to maximize efficiency and consistency. At Churchill Middle School, with the old ceiling tile removed as shown in the video, we are advancing HVAC upgrades with new HVAC equipment and LED lighting installations currently underway. In parallel, at Canyon Middle School, roofing work is nearing completion, and HVAC upgrades are actively progressing. All new air handler units are on site as shown, with installation currently underway. This project remains on track for completion in August of 2026. At Johnson Ranch Elementary, HVAC system replacement and corridor lighting upgrades are currently underway with the ceiling removed. Work is being phased strategically to ensure completion during the summer while improving overall system performance and efficiency. In the same manner, at Raul Bulverde, crews are installing new HVAC equipment and upgrading LED lighting throughout the campus. A part of the installation of the new equipment is trenching and installation of new power lines for the dedicated outdoor air systems. At Mountain Valley Middle School, the next phase of the HVAC system is being converted to a chilled water system, while comprehensive site improvements are underway to support long-term campus operations. These include replacement of the bus lane, walkways, and canopies in the rear of the school to allow for proper grading and improved drainage away from the building. In addition, the retaining wall between the bus lane and the football field is being completely rebuilt, and a bleacher expansion is being added to increase seating capacity in line with other middle schools in our district.
This work is all included with the Bond 2023 system packages, which collectively continue to show steady progress in spending. A total of $70.8 million is allocated for all systems packages. Approximately 65%, or $46 million, has been spent as we move through completion of these projects.
At Canyon High School, roof replacement is nearing completion and currently trending ahead of schedule. At the same time, tennis courts and the golf practice facility are progressing into the structural phase, supporting expanded athletic programs. Drainage improvements at Canyon High School are actively reshaping site flow, while parent queuing enhancements and interior refresh work continue in harmony to improve campus functionality and overall experience.
The Canyon High School Reinvestment Project under Bond 2023 carries a budget of $32 million, and to date, just under $10 million, or 31%, has been spent. Additional scopes began in January, and we're seeing the increase in expenditures. We will continue to see the financial activity increase as we move through the summer months in anticipation for the new school year.
Bond 2023 reflects a highly active portfolio. With all projects now complete or in progress, work is advancing across multiple phases simultaneously, with execution and progress aligned to planned construction timelines.
That activity is reflected in the financials, with expenditures and commitments continuing to align with project phasing and delivery. Of the $558.6 million approved by voters in May of 2023, $270 million, or 48%, has been incurred on designing, initiating, constructing, and completing projects, demonstrating our commitment to value and transparency.
Before we close, I'd like to highlight a new enhancement to the Bond at Work webpage as we continue to strengthen our commitment to transparency and real-time information sharing. In addition to our interactive financial dashboard, which provides clear visibility into budget and expenditures, we are now introducing live project schedules directly on the site. These schedules are organized by bond program and by project, and each one includes a full timeline from pre-design through completion, along with a completion percentage for a quick, at-a-glance tracking. This information is automatically updated every day at 7 a.m., ensuring stakeholders always have access to the most current data. This level of real-time visibility is rare among Texas school districts, and it reflects our continued focus on leading the way in transparency and accountability. Together, the financial dashboard and real-time schedules provide a more complete picture of both project progress and performance across the bond program. This concludes our June update on our bond projects. We appreciate your continued support and oversight, and we are happy to address any questions you may have at this time.
I'm going to go first. So a long time ago, I don't know when, we made the comment that it's going to be really hard for us to sit up here and call for another bond if we haven't completed and or started the projects that the taxpayers have already voted for. And so as a taxpayer and a board member, I want to thank you for 100% completed or started for 21 and 23 bond, because that is exactly what we asked your group to do, because it'd be really hard to sit up here and ask the voters to raise their hand and vote yes for another bond if we couldn't show this. With that being said, the project schedule edition, I'm not sure, I'm assuming it's probably Mr. Krasinski requested that, and here we are, and you've produced. It's every time we ask for something, you guys are doing it, and we can't be any more transparent. So thank you so much for that. I just have a couple questions. For the elementaries, 21 or 22 and 21, are those a similar design of school?
Yes, ma'am.
Exact same. I know. I figured there was some land differences, but so we saved. I'm assuming quite a bit of money on the design piece.
Yeah, and with that, so as Mayfair Elementary is a similar design, but we went back under new leadership under Mark, and we tweaked a few things, saving us a little money, squaring off corners, and closing in some areas that had glass to where now there's solid walls. So, but overall, the design itself is the same. But I want to also be clear that in future elementaries and definitely middle schools, we will be looking at a new design.
Okay. Wonderful. I just want to make sure I heard this correctly. I may not have, but did you say Raul Bulverde has an outdoor air system?
Is being converted to an outdoor air system.
What does that mean?
It's a chilled plant, an outside plant. It lives outside. A lot of these older elementaries have what they call split systems, similar to what you have at your house. You have an indoor unit, which is your air handler, and you have an outside unit, which is your compressor, your evaporator. This is a larger scale chilled unit that has a 4-pipe system. It's much more efficient over time.
So our older schools, like a Raul Bulverde, probably is that the reason why we're shifting over to the newer technology?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And my final question, because I get asked more than I want to admit, for my Canyon High School friends, the entrance and exit drive of Canyon High School, where are we at with that?
It's underway. It hasn't been fun with all the rain, but we're thankful for the rain, but it's underway. So.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, again, thank you for always doing what we ask of you. So, board members, Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Madam President, and I appreciate, again, the transparency in the presentation. I think, Mr. Stahl, it was a bit of an understatement to say that we are unique or rare in that. I mean, like, the level of transparency is, I work for this small organization called the federal government, and the transparency there is not, doesn't even compare to the level of transparency of this district. I mean, everything that we do is available for our stakeholders to see on our website. So, and I, again, appreciate that, just like Madam President said. But I also, I'm interested, because we have that level of transparency, do we have data on how many people are actually looking on those sites and looking at that information?
I do not have that information, but I'd be happy to work with our communications department on those data trackers and together.
It would be interesting to see if our stakeholders are actually taking advantage of all the transparency that you guys have provided. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. Obviously, I think you did a great job. Thank you for the presentation first. You did a great job articulating like how different we are in our transparency. I think Mr. Garner touched on it, but this isn't really a question. This is more of a statement to our stakeholders, our taxpayers, and media, or anybody that's listening to us today, that this level of transparency, I'll call it, or access to numbers, to timelines, to anything that we have today is second to none. So if whether you're talking about our budget or whether you're talking about how we're spending taxpayer dollars, there is not a single penny that is not accounted for in this budget or how we spend bond money. So I just want to be crystal clear here. Like, it is phenomenal, the work that your team has done with the communications team, technology, to incorporate all of this information so that, one, anybody can go see it anytime they want, but two, it is up to date, real time, it is accurate, it is, there is no question, right? You can't ask another question like, what are they spending on elementary number 22? Well, it's there. What's the timeline? It's there. So thank you for that, but also I think the community needs to be active in ensuring that they are informed, they have the information, and anybody who's listening that wants to pass along information to our constituents would be appreciated.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, President Biasotti. Again, thank you for the information. I am very excited about the project schedule piece. A lot of constituents will say, are they on budget? Are they on time? What does that look like? And that visual alone was, I mean, I'm excited to go more into detail. Is that on the website right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I will be texting a few friends of mine and other people that have asked it, but I have to agree with Mr. Krasinski on this. The level of transparency, the dissection of information that anybody can do, just going onto our website. I've never seen anything like this. I remember just a few years ago, we were getting large pieces of paper up here of everything, and now anyone at the touch of their hands or their keyboard can log on and see this. I do want to just reiterate 100% of Bond 23 completed in process, same with 21, but getting there, approximately 45.8% have been spent. Y'all are moving the needle. Y'all are listening to what the community has asked of, and the words that I just kept hearing, harmony, steady work, design and delivery, those are critical, and these are not just one project in one area. We are 589 square miles, so I commend you for listening, and I commend you for acting. I think this information is great, and I highly encourage getting that information out there. What's the best way to reach out to the community to let them know how great of a tool Comal ISD has?
Yeah, we use this in our newsletters.
Right.
You know, I speak across the district, even on the region, and I show them the QR code. And
Awesome.
interestingly enough, I was at a superintendent meeting, chairing a superintendent meeting for Region 20, and I shared the QR code, and then I had 6 different districts come and say, how can we get this and what can we do? So it's not just even Comal, but that QR code goes on every state of the district that we have to show the people that they can log in real time and see it. And to some of your points too, the idea is that it gets updated at 7 a.m. every single day. So it's in real time. So we'll continue to share it. We'll continue to post information on it, continue to share that QR code because it is valid information for the community to see and know.
Well, keep up the great work. Thank you for that presentation. Thank you, guys.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Ms. Biasotti. I just want to, kind of reiterate what has already been said, and that is that what I see you all doing is really caring about the balance of projects to both address the fast growth that we have in this district, but also parity among all of our facilities, our older schools and our newer schools, and it's with equal amounts of care, I think, that you're proceeding. We do deep dives into this, at least I do on a regular basis, and I just think that our our community can feel very, very confident that things are on time, they are on budget. Promises made are promises kept. And, when you're going to vote for a bond, you want reassurance that what you're voting for is going to be the best use of taxpayer dollars. And I can just say unequivocally, thanks to y'all, and especially with your transparent reporting, that everybody can have confidence in that. So not a question, just a statement. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, the next agenda item is 5C, Comal Commitment Quarterly Report, fourth quarter. I will turn it over to Dr. Chapman.
Yes, ma'am. And so just like with the transparency, our team does an exceptional job of putting out a quarterly report. This report is based on the collaborative vision that we started back in 2022. That was in November, where the board put the vision, mission, and motto together. Throughout the spring, you had 66 community members start working on where do you want to see our district go based on the 6 goals that the Board of Trustees put together, and the board adopted that in August of 2023. Believe it or not, we're now talking about the next 5 years. This is coming into life soon. And so in the spring of 2027, we're going to re-tackle and look at what is our next 5-year plan going to be like. And so we're sifting through that now. I want to also say that, the tides are changing in public education. So we're going to have to look at a lot of different things, continuing the path of the 6 goals that the board has approved and tasked us with. We want to be transparent with our community to make sure we're meeting those needs. But I also want to say there's a lot of moving parts in the sense of some of the exceptional work that Comal ISD has done. It's just like yesterday, I sent y'all some CCMR scores. If you recall, just in 21-22, we were at 64% as a district. And now we don't have a high school likely. Those are preliminary, unofficial scores. But we don't have a high school under 90%. Guys, this stuff is huge. You can get into what the district has done in the sense of attendance. You can look at all of these things. Well, we need to start looking at how can we continue to grow. Do we need to have more T-STEMs? Do we have a virtual school? What do we need to do with the next bond? How do we need to address to get better and better each and every day? And so I'm eager, I'm excited to see what the next 5 years for Comal ISD has to hold. But I'm also to say that this 5-year plan developed by our community has been well worth it. But I want to give us huge kudos to this team because they met the goals. They met the goals that you've put together, the CIP, the campus improvement plans, the district improvement plan, the board goals, all are married and interlinked with this committee commitment. So I just want to give a big shout out to our staff that work day in and day out to make sure we're meeting that, and the full transparency the board gets every week, not in the summer, on your weekly reports. And we put all this together to give you the quarterly report, and at the end of the year, November, we give you the annual report.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. I do think, how long have you been here?
Long time.
3, 4 years? Going on 4? So, about to start. Okay, so 4 years. I feel like it's been forever, sir. No, but in all seriousness, I feel like we get these books put up here. We get the weekly memo, except for the summer, and we just kind of expect it, and it's just there now. But we asked for that for so many years prior. And again, the transparency piece, there's no way anybody could ask a question and us as board members cannot answer it wholeheartedly based off of your report. So you've made our jobs up here easier as well. And I know this is a lot of work for your group and your staff, but it's very appreciated. So thank you. Board members, are there any questions regarding 5C Comal Commitment Quarterly Report, fourth quarter? Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. I will echo a little bit of what Dr. Chapman said. Obviously, thank you to the staff. Thank you to every teacher, staff member, student to make this happen. It's phenomenal, and there's just not a lot of words for how good this district is doing. We don't have the traditional problems that you see across public education. We are fiscally responsible. We do it with a whole heck of a lot less money than most districts. And it's also a testament to the staff, to the teachers, and everybody who is here in sports services. So, yeah, it's phenomenal. It's great work. You know, we are blessed to be in a district without all the what we see going on. So I'm glad to have great board members by my side and great people that we help to get, you know, these goals accomplished. So we're just happy to be a part of it. So thank you.
Mr. Garner?
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Chapman, how many, since 2022, 2023 school year, how many individual or team state championships have we had either at UIL or other statewide competitions?
49.
49. So I think if you have one state championship in your district, that's something to celebrate. And I think, you know, any individual or team state championship really goes to that athlete or that artist or musician or whatever it may be, and obviously their coach or teacher. But I think if you have 49, I think that speaks probably to the environment, the leadership of the district, how the leaders here in this room enable what's going on our campuses, how our campuses have bought into that, and the leaders on those campuses have enabled the educators, the coaches on those campuses to do what they do to provide opportunities for our students to excel, and it appears that they have pretty phenomenally. So, you know, I think when we, back four years ago when we interviewed you, you kind of spoke to your process and kind of the pathway that we would go on if we hired you. And pretty much, it's been pretty much what you said, and maybe a little bit better. So I'm certainly proud to be a trustee in this district, and appreciative of your leadership and the leadership of everyone in this room to get us to where we are today. So thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, President Biasotti. Dr. Chapman, just tonight alone, we saw athletes, we saw musicians, we saw speech and debate, we saw computer science. These kids are excelling in things that they love. And there's opportunities that are arise to let them figure out that next step. And to me, that is exactly what Growing Greatness is. And to see it organized, it's words, it's pictures, but it's all the work that you all have done and invested in these kids, in our kids, that I am blown away by this. This is also something that I share with many people of what's going on in the district. This is it. And to just have something to do that, because I haven't had anything like this until you came, and to just show literally what's going on, that's just another level of transparency of what we're doing, what y'all are doing, and I'm just very appreciative. I say it all the time. I grew up in Comal, I graduated from Comal, and I'm very thankful that my kids are getting that similar experience. So thank you for putting in the work day in, day out, every single one of you. You see someone, thank them for us. And then Dr. Chapman, just thank you for keeping us in the loop, the details that truly make a difference. And I'm just excited to see what we continue to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. The next agenda item is 5D. We have our STAR 3rd through 8 EOC update. I will turn it over to Miss Julie Cronkite and Miss Taylor Keller. I know you're out there somewhere.
Good evening, President Biasotti, board members, and Dr. Chapman. Tonight, administration is providing an update on Comal ISD's 2026 preliminary STAR and end-of-course assessment results based on the data that is currently available. The STAR 3 through 8 program includes math, reading language arts, science, and social studies, while end-of-course assessments include Algebra 1, Biology, English 1, English 2, and U.S. History. Please note that Grade 5 and Grade 8 science results have not yet been released by TEA and are not reflected in tonight's presentation. Before reviewing the data, I would like to provide a brief overview reminder of the A to F accountability system. Domain 1 is student achievement and reflects the actual performance levels students earn on assessments. Domain 2A measures academic growth from one year to the next within the same subject area. Domain 2B measures relative performance by comparing our results to a tightly banded group of campuses with similar percentages of economically disadvantaged students. Domain 3 is closing the gaps of how different student groups are performing. 70% of a district or campus rating comes from the highest score earned in Domain 1, 2A, or 2B, while the remaining 30% comes from Domain 3. This slide highlights the difference between accountability calculations for grades 3 through 8, which is at the top, and high school campuses at the bottom. At the high school level, Domain 1 is calculated differently. EOC performance makes up 40% of the score. College, career, and military readiness, or CCMR, makes up another 40%, and graduation rates make up the remaining 20%. Domain 2A remains focused on academic growth. Domain 2B includes both EOC performance and CCMR performance when compared to similar campuses. Domain 3 also incorporates graduation rates and CCMR indicators. At this point, we have more complete information for our high schools than we do for grades 3 through 8. There are two important items that have not yet been finalized for elementary and middle schools. First, due to the implementation of new science standards and the ongoing standard setting process, grade 5 and grade 8 science results will not be released, unfortunately, until July 31st, 2026. Without science results, accountability calculations for grades 3 through 8 remain incomplete. Second, House Bill 8 required an automatic rescore of STAR, Reading Language Arts, extended constructed responses that were within 1 point of the next performance level. TEA rescored 1,181 Comal ISD assessments, resulting in 274 students in 3 through 8 advancing to the next performance level. These adjustments are not yet reflected in the data being presented tonight. Tonight's data is presented through two lenses. Achievement compares this year's grade level performance to the same grade level from the previous year. Cohort growth follows the same group of students as they progress from one grade level to the next. We are pleased to report that MEET's grade level performance either increased or remained within 2 percentage points of last year's results in 17 of 20 tested areas. Beginning with our high schools results, Comal ISD exceeded both state and region performance in all 5 EOC subjects and demonstrated gains across every tested subject. At the elementary level, we see a similar trend. Every tested area in grades 3 through 5 exceeded both the state and region performance. We have opportunities for improvement in 3rd grade RLA, 3rd grade math, and 5th grade RLA. Before reviewing middle school math assessment results, I want to begin with a broader view of student performance by enrolled grade level, which is on the left side of your slide. As you may recall, last year, administration shared with the board the impact that Senate Bill 2124 and our accelerated mathematics pathway would have on middle school assessment participation and reporting. Because nearly half of our advanced students are assessed above their enrolled grade level, it is important to look at student performance through both lenses of the assessment taken, which is on your right, and the enrolled grade level performance on your left. When viewed by enrolled grade level, Comal ISD outperforms the state at every middle school grade level. Our 6th graders exceeded the state by 8 points. Our 7th graders, regardless if they took the 7th math or 8th math star, exceeded the state by 9 points, and our 8th graders exceed the state by 21 points at the MEETS grade level standard. Additionally, performance does increase from grade 6 through grade 8, demonstrating strong overall math outcomes for our middle school students. This slide looks at math performance by the assessment students actually took rather than their enrolled grade level. Because Comal ISD has a significantly larger percentage of students participating in advanced math pathways, fewer students take the 7th grade Math Star assessment than their peers across the state. In Comal ISD, 46% of our 7th grade students took the grade 8 math assessment compared to the 32% statewide. As a result, the grade 7 math assessment population in Comal ISD differs significantly from the statewide testing population. This provides important context for interpreting the grade 7 math results, which is the one tested area in which Comal ISD performed below the state average at the meets grade level standard. With this context in mind, this slide shows middle school achievement results by the assessment, not enrolled grade level students actually took. Middle school math remains our greatest opportunity for growth and improvement. Reading language arts performance maintained across grade levels and exceeded both the state and region performance. Overall, these results highlight both areas of strength and areas for continued focus as district and campus leaders begin planning for the upcoming school year. Now shifting to cohort growth, that second lens, several student groups demonstrated gains of 3 percentage points or more at the meets grade level standard, which you can see on the slide. The next several slides highlight some notable cohort growth or areas of improvement and illustrate how student performance progressed as students moved from one grade level to the next. 5th to 6th math is a key transition time and an area of continued focus. On level 7th math to on level 8th math demonstrated growth. 7th honors to algebra 1 demonstrated growth. 8th math, on level math, to high school algebra 1 showed positive growth. 3rd grade to 4th grade RLA is an opportunity for improvement. 4th to 5th RLA demonstrated growth. 5th to 6th RLA is an area for continued focus. 6th to 7th RLA is an area to target. And finally, 7th to 8th RLA demonstrated growth. Comal ISD earned a graduation rate score of 90, resulting in an A rating. Our reported grad rate is 98.8%, representing an increase of 0.9 percentage points from the previous year. As a reminder, graduation rates are included in both Domain 1 and Domain 3 for high schools. Every high school earned an A on this indicator. We will review CCMR results in greater detail during the September board workshop. However, these results are certainly worth noting. Comal ISD earned a CCMR score of 90, resulting in an A rating and representing a 10-point increase from the prior accountability year. Every comprehensive high school demonstrated meaningful improvement in CCMR performance. Looking ahead, final science results will be released in late July, followed by final accountability calculations and A to F ratings in August. District and campus leaders have already begun reviewing the data and identifying priorities that will inform both campus and district improvement planning for the 2026-27 school year. At the September board workshop, administration will provide a deeper review of accountability results as they are complete, distinction designation, and progress towards board student outcome goals. Throughout the coming year, district and campus leaders will continue using our assessment data, local assessments, and progress monitoring checkpoints to guide instructional decisions, interventions, and resource allocation in support of continuous improvement. Thank you. Mrs. Keller and I are available for any questions you may have.
Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. Obviously, thank you for the presentation. Great news across the board. I think the gaps to the state are massive, especially obviously in 8th grade math. And I just want to thank you for, obviously y'all know where the problems were for years, right? I don't think that was a change. I don't think that was anything y'all didn't know. Obviously, we said it plenty of times up here on the dais, but it sounds like y'all made changes to curriculum, changes in the way you approach math. So obviously, what you're doing is working. So we appreciate all the efforts, all the time and effort and thought that went into changing how we teach our kids, especially around math. Obviously, it's showing great progress. So do you want to explain maybe a little bit about more what y'all did? That way folks know what I'm talking about. That way I'm not just saying, oh, you did a great job and not giving you a little credit here.
Absolutely. At the elementary level, we implemented a new math curriculum, KIDM, and at the middle school level, and high school level, we are implementing STEM scopes as well. So this is only our first year of implementation, which comes with some, change. Sometimes is faced with a little bit of resistance. So we're very thankful for the opportunity next school year to even have more fidelity to our programs.
Thank y'all. This is a great presentation, great news, and thanks to all the staff, teachers, everybody for producing great work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Ms. Biasotti. This whole lot of green on this, which, as an old corporate person, I love to see. Trending is positive. It's going in the right direction, and congratulations to all of you. Two things that I would like to know more about. For those folks who have not sit in on a campus instructional coach, deep dive into every child's situation. I mean, day to day, it's knowing every child by name and need to the nines, with what you all do. Could you help people understand how, just really in a nutshell, how that works and how you might set out to address middle school results a little bit more?
Absolutely. So middle school math is complicated. So this is the second year in which second year that we have changed the assessments that students are taking, meaning all students take the same tests in 6th grade, and then starting in 7th grade, they take that off-level test. So this is the second year that that's happened, but actually the first cohort of the advanced math pathway. So that advanced math pathway happens after 5th grade and can be either that MAP performance or STAR performance, that top 40% that automatically puts them into that advanced math pathway without them choosing that. So the way we're addressing that is with high quality instruction and tier 1 instruction and just, great teaching.
Yeah, and that they keep changing the rules on you. I mean,
Yes.
it's a different scorecard every year. In fact,
Yes.
we're ready to start a new one. And so how, with changing from STAR and, measuring all 3rd graders one year and a second group of all 3rd graders the next year, but really looking at how the individual student is progressing, how's that going to change what we do? I know we're already doing MAP testing on our own, but how's that evaluation program going to work?
STAR is just one measure for us. First of all, students are not merely a number. We do know them by their name and their needs, so formative assessments, what that teacher does, those anecdote records are critical to us. Our collaborative team cycle processes where we talk students, we talk instruction, we talk lesson design and what that's going to look like with that end in mind. So STAR is one mode. That MAP informs us along the way, so we have those checkpoints along with our local UA process, along with teacher records and grades and assessments that are authentic.
So is the upcoming, beginning of year, middle year, end of year, state evaluation going to, I guess, support what we are already doing per that individual child more than started or has?
We're already doing that. So for us, it's we're already there.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're going to be well ahead of the game. And so, one thing that we want to make sure we're doing is we're listening to, what the state is asking us to do, right? They always give you some hints on, here's what we're going to be doing in 2029. So if you're not one of those that are starting it in 2026, then you're going to be behind the 8 ball. And our team's done an exceptional job of really tracking that and moving that needle. Hence why, if you recall a year ago, and she already stated that, we made that major shift in our math for that 7th and 8th grade. And obviously you can see, the benefits to moving that advancement, which is critical. But one of the pieces too that we haven't said anything about it. I just want to give a big hoorah to the fact that look at those EOC scores. It's all green, guys. That is huge. These are those tests that those high school kids are taking. That has been, throughout the years, some major struggles. And so that doesn't happen unless you have a strong elementary and a middle school and a pathway. And one of the things that I also wanted to, I do not like, and I still will not like, comparing a 3rd grader this year to a 3rd grader next year. They're 2 totally separate kiddos. I don't like it. I don't believe in it. That's why I put very little in board goals. I've told y'all that. Y'all know that. Even though we met them all last year, it's a thing. But what you're seeing now, as they've tracked, you've seen the cohort. What did that 3rd grader do last year and is doing this year in 4th grade? That is the most important thing. Are you tracking that exact child as they move up, and did they advance in those academic scores and get that growth that they need? And that's another big celebration, is look at all of the greens across the board through that. And we still don't even have science yet. And when we take a very deep dive at the workshop in September, you're going to be able to see that. We're going to have real scores. And I'm anxiously optimistic about what you're going to see at that September meeting and the score that's going to produce. And it's not just the growth academically from 3rd to 4th, but it's also the attendance. You saw that. You saw the CCMR growth. You saw all these things that are higher than we've ever had in Comal ISD. And again, we said it earlier, just the exceptional work that our team, our curriculum team, our leadership team, our advanced academic team, are all working hand in hand, not in silos, to make sure they meet every student where they are.
Mr. Garner?
Thank you, Madam President. So the cohort thing was what I picked up on, because that's I appreciate you guys presenting that. That's a little different than in past years, and so I just like Dr. Chapman said, that's really important. And but I also appreciate that you highlighted the stuff that we're green and are improving, but you also, as part of transparency, highlighted our areas of opportunity. So how do you when you see one of those specific areas, because I know that's where you guys spend most of your time, and so what's your game plan when you see an area to get after it? Can you kind of speak through what your process your team uses?
Sure. So right now, as Julie showed you that timeline, our team's diving in. We do have the ability to analyze every test question right now through our CRS system, so that is available for our team. So my team in particular is diving in and reading every single question. We obviously have very high expectations of ourselves, so my team sees the green and we're like, yay, and then we dive into the orange and we perseverate there, which is so that we can solve that problem. So they're actually analyzing every single test question and every student response, because as you guys know, they're not just multiple choice anymore, so we do have the ability to analyze student responses, and they are making just-in-time adjustments into our curriculum right now to immediately address where our gaps were. And so adjusting that curriculum, we have the ability at Leadership Launch in July to share those very specific updates with our campus teams. We turn that around quickly with our CICs on our campuses to bring just-in-time professional learning. That's why we value those QIPs, those through-year professional learning times with our teachers, so that we can just-in-time give them the tools that they need to help their students, because our teachers want green all across the board. They're hard workers, and so we just need to make sure that the resources directly align to where our assessment results show we have gaps.
That's awesome. So when you guys are doing that analysis of question by question, answer by, is there any AI tools you can use to help you speed through that, or that sounds like very
I have an amazing
work.
team. They love to just geek out, put their headphones on in their cubicles, and even when AT's throwing a party for our new to Comal employees, they are still diving in to that assessment data. So we also, we do embrace some AI tools, but I'll be honest, they really do want to read every student response. They're downloading it, they're analyzing it so they can internalize that and make sure that that work is meaningful in the curriculum.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, President Biasotti. Dr. Chapman stole my comment on the EOC in green, but I think it's worth saying again, so that's fantastic. My question to y'all, looking at all these results and just we're seeing it, and I appreciate seeing it with the state and the region as well. That bar graph is just to kind of see where we're at. So we've seen state, we've seen region, we've seen district. What are y'all doing to look at like each individual campuses where all of that, how does that work when, because we're so, spread out, all the different things, how do you tailor to the individual campuses of what you're seeing in the data?
So those same graphs we absolutely have down to the campus level. We're analyzing it. We actually also do another layer, just like the state does in that domain 2B where they're looking at eco-disbands. We look at our eco-disbands within our district as well to make sure that we understand where our campuses are performing compared to the statistical prediction or underperforming or outperforming. And our leadership team does a great job collaborating with the curriculum team and understanding what is the culture, how does that impact on that campus, what is the leadership skill set and the leaders, and then how does the curriculum work together. So we talk campus by campus probably daily, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, and one of the things that we do too is we want to compare apples and apples. So if you took Timberwood Park, you are not gonna compare a Timberwood Park to a Morningside, right? But we're gonna find who is like Morningside, and let's compare them in those quadrants, and let's have a little competition, right? To make sure if it's the same type of students that we're educating, then how can we get better? The most important thing, what I love about the curriculum team and leadership is if you're doing something real well, why are we not sharing that across Comal ISD? And they're doing that well. One thing we're going to be bringing in next year too is districts have for many years, they have issues with transitions, that 6th grade, that 9th grade transition. And so what can we do at the middle school to support the high school? What can we do at the elementary to support the middle? And so our Wednesday walks are going to look different. It's going to be a feeder pattern together. High school, guess what you get to do? You get to go visit an elementary school. Elementary, you're going to go to the high school with us. Start really walking through, are we aligned as a feeder, and are we aligned to make sure that transition is seamless, because kids matter. But to go back to your point, what you were saying is we compare like. So if you take a cohort, you're going to see the Hoffman Lanes and the Timberwood Parks and the Indian Springs and the Johnson Ranch. You're going to see them together, and how are they working, and how do they compare to each other? And the same thing with the other groups.
Well, thank you for that information. I think that's important, and I love that y'all are doing it in the dailies and all of that, and I just appreciate all that you're doing for the kiddos, and this is really fun to see, and I'm looking forward to September workshop. Thank you, guys.
Hold on.
No, I'm saying. So, we get a lot of information on curriculum, and this is really contradicting my thoughts on the in-house curriculum that we have versus the curriculum that we can purchase, because what you said at the very beginning was you're able to get in there and figure out what to change and things to do differently based off of, and that's because you have an in-house curriculum team that can do that. And so it's kind of that push-pull of what's best for the district. But right now, to me, it's very clear that having an in-house curriculum, because of the results like this. So thank you for all your hard work. I do want to tell you this really quick. My second-born child, who a lot of you in this room know, is in 8th grade, and when the results came out, Dr. Chapman, we got the email, I checked their scores, and there's no science. And legit thought, because if you know her, I thought, she did not take the dang science star. I know she went to school. And then he sent us the no science, so I had to go back and be like, hey, just wasn't accusing you of anything. She was like, Mom, I promise you I took it. So I am looking forward to seeing those results as well. And like Dr. Chapman said, September, being able to really dive into to this is going to be exciting. But thanks again for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, board members. We will proceed to our next agenda item, number 6, consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism that the board uses to approve a number of routine items together with a single vote. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the public notice for this meeting includes the list of all consent agenda items, and the board has been provided ample information about these items in advance. Prior to any action taken on the consent agenda, board members may request withdrawal of individual items for clarification or discussion. Board members, are there any items to be removed from consent agenda at this time?
Madam President,
Ms. Shaw?
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
I have Ms. Shaw and Mr. Krasinski. So seeing that there are no items removed from consent that will be addressed, we'll skip to item 7A and proceed. We'll skip 7A and proceed to 7B. Where do we do that? Just kidding. We're going to vote. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor raise your hand. All those opposed? With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. Now we will skip to 7B. The next item is 7B, consideration and possible approval of the employment, health, pharmaceutical, and stop-loss insurance coverage. I will turn it over to Dr. Randy Davis.
Good evening, President Biasotti, members of the board, Dr. Chapman. Tonight we have a presentation discussing the employee health, pharmaceutical, and stop-loss coverage. Now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Ms. Quinn and Ms. Gaspard from Gallagher to walk through this recommendation with you.
Thank you. Good evening. Make sure I have my clicker here. I'm Betty Gwynn. This is Ashley Gaspard, and we are benefit consultants with Gallagher. Both of us are here in the Central Texas area, and we represent lots of school districts and other public entity organizations just like yourself. Needless to say, this has been a very challenging time of year when it comes to health plan expenses. You are not alone in what we have seen and what we are experiencing with health plan. It's been an unprecedented year with respect to health plan increases, and we have lots of explanations about that. We conducted an RFP, a request for proposal, for your medical prescription drug manager as well as your stop-loss reinsurance that's out there. We're going to go through the results of this RFP, what our rationale was for the decisions where we landed, what the methodology was, and all the supporting information. When we did this process, we considered everything, taking everything into consideration: the network access, the hospitals, the doctors, the labs, the pharmacies that your employees have access to, with respect to the discounts as well as the administrative fees that apply to all these coverages. Our overall methodology, when we look at this, we take a very detailed look. Of course, this is an open bid, every willing party, but you are a very sought-after district that many entities wanted their business. You are a great district as far as what your overall makeup looks like, and a lot of people wanted, but they had to be competitive in what it looked like. We have to be very careful about who we choose as partners to ensure that they are managing our healthcare costs appropriately. As you know, when you have a self-funded health plan, about 80% of your cost are your claims cost, and the other 20% are your administrative fees and your fixed fees. Because 80% of it is about your claims, we want to ensure that the entity that we are working with has the deepest discounts and manages your claims most effectively as far as chronic condition management and how they're utilizing all of their services that they have in play to manage your large claims cost as well. It is so important that we take everything into consideration when it comes to the optimization of how we're purchasing and utilizing healthcare. One of the overarching factors in your specific situation is about budget stabilization. We have had some surprises over the last year or so as far as we have experienced what we call a cash call. You had a budget that was out there, and then we had some unexpected expenses because the pool that you were a part of was insufficiently funded, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So one of our primary goals, in addition to providing your employees with cost-effective, broad coverage, was about the budget stabilization with no surprises when it comes to how you're financing your benefit plan, and we'll talk about that as well. We're going to go into some details of all of the financials that went into play here. So what we did is we look at your current plan. Your current arrangement is with Cigna Allegiance. Cigna is your network of providers, all the doctors, hospitals that your employees have access to. Allegiant is the TPA. They're the third-party administrator who's processing your claims and taking care of the claims management. The second component of it is your medical and ASO fees, and that is what Allegiance and Cigna charges you for the services that they provide. Then also we have stop-loss coverage. Stop-loss protects you from any large claims as well as your overall budget utilization across your plan. So we looked at all of the coverages. These are your top people that scored when we looked at everybody. We have Cigna Allegiance, then we have Aetna, and then we also have Blue Cross and Blue Shield. These were all competitive, but we had to look at them over a one-year basis, and then we looked at them over a 3-year contract because there's many things that come to consideration, especially when it comes to things like pharmacy rebates and how those play out over a longer period of time. So at the end of the day, when we looked at all of those factors in play, Aetna was the one that came in first place as far as managing our overall benefit cost among these three. Again, there were many others that were considered, but they were either not competitive, their network access was insufficient, or their pharmacy coverage was not sufficient as well. One of the things that we also look at is when we look at what your current plan is. You know, if we were to stay where we are today, and we had the questions from you all over the last couple weeks or so, what would look like if we had stayed where we are? If we stay where we are, looking at next year, what would our projected plan costs be? And then what they're going to be with the next year projection if we move to Aetna, what that's going to look like as well. So it's really important that we have a level setting of what it would look like where we are today, and then what it's going to look like moving forward with Aetna. Another question that we got, there's not that much difference. Well, one of the biggest challenges that we had under the current plan was the unexpected cash calls because of the insufficient pooling levels with that pooled arrangement that you were in. That's not the same arrangement you're going to be in moving forward, and we'll talk about that a little bit more with respect to your stop loss. Your stop loss that you have today has a maximum claim liability in your overall plan cost. That's going to protect you from any unexpected things like those cash calls that you had in play. So that's where your security is going to be lying with respect to this more traditional self-funded plan arrangement that you're going to be in. You have a true maximum claim cost liability with no unexpected cash calls in play. I do also want to recognize we have a gentleman with Aetna. Darren Bruton is here. He's in the back of the room. Darren is with Aetna, and he's the market leader for Central Texas for the public and labor. Aetna, of course, I'm sure you've all heard of them. They're very well known, and they're very well respected carrier and player within the healthcare market. So we are very confident and excited about working alongside the Aetna team. Aetna has many other school districts. It's been a very popular very common plan for school districts because they know how to serve teachers and they know the unique needs that you all have with respect to your population. Is there anything else you feel like I need to? At the very bottom, one of the questions that we asked was the reserve or fund balance of a self-funded plan. What should that be? You know, you're going to have your expected, well, we have your budget that's set at, but whenever you have a self-funded plan, you should have a reserve. In the event that you leave this plan, and let's say you decide to exit and go into TRS at some point, you need to have a reserve to pay the claims, what we call run-out claims. Claims that were incurred prior to the termination date, but that will be paid after that they're incurred. So with that, it's typically expected that you have about a run-out or a reserve of 20 to 25% of your claim costs, which in your position, it estimates to about $5 million. What our actuaries do every year, many times more frequently, is we do an incurred but not reported analysis where we give you what the estimated and expected reserve is that you need to be holding in your plan. It may take a period of time to build out what that reserve will be, and we'll help you develop what that plan is going to look like moving forward. All right, moving on now. We also had to look at plan designs. Currently, you all offer your employees 4 different plan designs. You have a high deductible health plan with the low plan, the mid plan, and the high plan. And what's typically driving those plans is the deductibles and the out-of-pockets on those plans. Then, of course, we also look at what they're actually charging the employees, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. We wanted to see if there's a better way to do this. We have 2 plans that the majority of your population is enrolled in today, and then we have 2 plans that there are not very many people enrolled in at all. Sometimes we have to remove the bad choices from the options to keep the employees from making a decision that's not best for themselves or their families. So what we are doing is we are proposing moving to a, let's see if it'll go here. Am I dying? Come on. Oh, sorry, hit too hard. My apologies. Sorry. So we're proposing to move to 2 plans instead of 4 plans. We're proposing to move to a high deductible health plan. It's the same plan design. And then the next plan, which will have a $4,700 deductible, $4,750 for an individual, and $9,500 for a family. So these are the 2 plans where the majority of your population is currently enrolled in. So you will have the least disruption as far as moving from a 4-plan option to a 2-plan option as well. We also look at how your plans compare to other districts that are surrounding you. We look up and down the I-35 corridor as well as other districts to make sure that your plans are remaining competitive. We know this is an extremely competitive market. It's very important for you guys to attract and retain teachers and other staff members, and we want to ensure that a benefit plan design is not a decision why a teacher would go somewhere else. So we want to ensure that your plans are competitive with plan design as well as with the employee contributions as well. Important, I'll point out that at the bottom, under the Aetna plan, what's really great about this is Aetna and their pharmacy benefit program will use CVS or Aetna's plan. It's an integrated program. It's automatically integrated. Your pharmacy plan is integrated with your medical plan. That allows for better cost management, better claims management, and chronic condition management as well. All right. This also is where we look at, many things that we look at that are always considered as far as what the district contribution is. That is a very controversial topic when we talk to many districts because it is a big drawdown on your budget. This assumes a $500 district contribution as far as what it's going to look like under the current arrangement and then what it would look like moving forward with the Cigna plan. The estimated total cost, when we say PEPM, we're saying per employee per month. You have approximately 2,100, almost 2,200 employees that are currently enrolled on the medical plan, a little over 4,300 all in with dependents, total membership that are enrolled in the plan. So this is what it's going to look like moving forward as far as what the current reforecast is, the projection moving forward, and then moving forward with Aetna as well. You can go down and you can see what the employee cost, the premium, the employee contributions are going to be, the district contribution, and then where we are sitting with a continued budget deficit. We're going to be working over a couple of years to right-size that, if you will, so that we can then have a flat plan, which is always the goal, so we don't have a budget deficit with respect to the employee, the health plan as well. This is how we looked at it as well. We said if we had no rate increase to the employees and the district absorbed the total increase, then we looked at it if the district absorbs half of the increase and the employees absorb half of the increase, and then we looked at it as though if the district were going to absorb the entire increase. So we have to look at it in all various scenarios and then understanding what the total impact to the finances and the budget within the district is going to be moving forward. The decision was made to go with the middle option where the star is. Whoops. The middle option where the star is. Sorry, I'm messing with this. As far as meeting halfway, where the employees absorb half of the increase, the district absorbs half of the increase, and then there still remains to be a bit of a budget deficit, as you see at the bottom, the $1,047,000 deficit. This is what it looks like on a four-tiered basis. When I talk about that, we're referring to employee only, employee plus spouse, employee plus child or children, and employee plus family. As you can see, those two plans, that high plan and mid plan, are where we had the lowest enrollment, and that's where we talked about to the right, condensing it down, consolidating it into two plans. Now, where we had the enrollment, we are making some assumptions about where your employees are going to be enrolling. We don't know what's really going to happen until the enrollment is finished, and then once their enrollment is complete, we will take a look at how it really landed, where people truly enrolled in their plan. As you know, this is also a time when your employees and their families will look at the spouse's plan and take that into consideration to determine if in fact the spouse's plan is maybe a better option sometimes for that. What we've seen many times is that district plans are very rich, whether it's the benefit plan design or the employee contributions, and many times the districts are subsidizing private employers out here that also have plans, but they may be of even higher cost. So that's why you may be picking up spouses on your plan that have even better coverage under their private employer plan. We want to make sure that we are educating your employees as they're going through enrollment to ensure that they're taking in all benefit plan considerations, maybe that their spouse has, the family coverage that they have under that as well. We want to help them make the right decisions for themselves and their own families. At the end of the day, the recommendation is going to be moving to Aetna Medical. It will have minimum employee disruption. We did take a look at your network access, and we did a very detailed look at how many people would have to, in fact, change their providers, change their physicians, and it was a very minimal disruption. The same thing for the pharmacy plan, having that an integrated pharmacy approach with Aetna. CVS Caremark is their partnership there. Integration with the medical, which improves how the medical plan is managed overall. And also under the pharmacy plan, we were able to achieve a lot stronger rebates with the plan and found lots of savings when it comes to that. The rebate game, unfortunately, is part of the game with the pharmacy plan. We just want to make sure you're able to recoup as many rebates as far as you can over the overall plan cost. With respect to the stop loss at your reinsurance on an individual level with Aetna, it's integrated with the medical. That means you will get immediate reimbursements. Under your current arrangement, because your stop loss is with a third-party vendor, we've had a long lag with respect to reimbursements with the reinsurance. So that is not the case with Aetna. They are immediate reimbursements, so there's no cash flow outage in the event that you have a large claimant or if you have a large aggregate claim as well. Anything else? One of the questions was asked is, what are we going to do on an ongoing basis? We cannot just look at this once a year and all of a sudden be in a situation where we are surprised or shocked or put in that position. On an ongoing basis, our actuaries and underwriters provide you with a financial monitoring report. It tells you exactly what is going on in your plan every single month, how many claims were incurred, the dollar amount of the claims, the large claimants that are out there as well. We will do reforecasts throughout the year, so again, there will be no surprises when it comes to how the plan is running, if it's running high, if it's running hot. The other thing we have access to using, Aetna has a very robust claim reporting platform. We have a very broad and deep understanding of exactly what it is your cost drivers are. One of the questions, again, we were asked is, do we at Comal have a large incidence of high-cost claimants? Not comparatively speaking. It is the rule of thumb in underwriting that you should have about 10 large claimants. Let's define that as a claimant that's over $100,000, 10 per thousand. And right now we have about 18 large claimants that are over $100,000 right now. In the beginning of the year, we were hit with a very large claimant of $1 million. That was early on in the year, but of course we have other people that have had claims throughout the year. We anticipate typically the summer months are very hot months because that's when teachers are out. They're taking care of their medical needs, so we typically see a bit of a spike in July and August, and then again at the end of the year in December. We always anticipate those with respect to our overall reviews that we're doing of the plan and anticipating plan design changes. You know, there's lots of things that are going on, especially here in Texas as well, that we keep a very close watch on. One of them is freestanding ERs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the situation that's going on with that. We take a very close watch on what is going on with freestanding ERs and the appropriate utilization of ERs and provide that education. Because under the No Surprises Act, that is under the ACA, the Accountable Care Act, we've seen a huge uptick of claims that are incurred by freestanding ERs, and the charges are outrageous. So we do everything we can to educate the employees on the appropriate use of ER, urgent care, engaging them with a primary care physician as well. All of these things are things that we keep a very close watch on to ensure that we understand exactly what's going on with your plan. Any questions at this point?
Thank you for the presentation. Just give us 1 second to
You bet.
absorb. Going? Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Ms. Bissotti. Obviously, a lot of numbers here. Thank you for the presentation. I'm candidly a little, I'll just be honest, I'm a little confused. So I'll just spout out some numbers here and just try to make sure I understand.
You bet.
So you're proposing going from $20 million, $20,706,000 to almost $25,024,998. Is that accurate? So a 21% increase year over year.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct. And this is what, I'm looking at slide number 5, when we look at your financials as they are today, or excuse me, let me go to slide number 6. Under your current plan, we are projecting that your total plan cost be the estimated total under your current arrangement at $22,000. It's how we're gonna end the year, $22 million, how we're gonna end the year today. If you stay where you are and make no changes, your plan costs are going to go up. Healthcare costs go up every single year. So we are projecting, if you were to stay in the current arrangement that you're in today, that your total plan costs will go from $22.9 million to $25 million with no changes if you stayed in the arrangement you're in today.
To 25,092 is what you're
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Okay. So, understood. So you're projecting 21% either way, give or take, right? So same. If I look at the 3-year number that y'all presented as the positive, where you being $1.8 million in the positive or in the black, right?
Yes.
Green, I guess in this case.
Yes.
You've got your claim costs net at $67 million. You've got medical ASO fees at 3, and then stop loss at 12. So if I'm taking the first year, obviously the numbers they look good because we're at $20,877,000. If I go into year 2 and 3, right, I've got roughly a 12% increase on claims costs. I've got a 62% increase on medical ASO fees as it progresses into 2 and 3. And then in stop loss, I've got a 40% increase in year 2 and 3. That's 40% year over year. That would be 62% year over year. Is that representative?
I don't see that.
I think you may be comparing Aetna to Blue Cross. So the first column is your current arrangement with Cigna and Lucy RX. The second one would be Aetna. So looking at the top, that's year 1. Bottom, that's a 3-year.
No, if I'm talking, just so year 1. So if we're talking about year 1 at 914, right? And then we're talking about the 3-year. If I take the first year, it being 914, I add in the rest of the other 2, and I divide it by 2, that would be $1.482 million. Let's just talk the middle one, the medical ASO fees. It's at 1.482. Actually, it's like, call it $2.9 million for the rest of the 2 years, right? You divide it in half, and it's 1.482, right? So you got a 62% increase from the first year to year 2 and 3. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, I see what you're
Okay.
saying now. The reason for that is in year 1, Aetna was very aggressive with the credits that they're offering. So that's why that administration fee looks lower in that first year than years 2 and 3, because the credit's lower in years 2 and 3.
Okay.
So
And then same thing for stop loss. It's 40% versus my same argument there is still 40% increase year over year, right? So you're going from 3.2 million, give or take 3.207 to 4.510. I don't know if that's the way, like, it's probably not going to be that. It might be a little bit different, but
Right.
that, if you extrapolate the money over the 2 years, right? That divided by 2, that's what you
So-
get. I don't know what year 2 and 3 look like as far as like a breakdown goes, but that's what I'm going off of. So that's kind of my question. Those seem, and we've got the Aetna guy in here, those seem extreme in my opinion. The 12% across those next 2 years for the claim cost, net rebates, that seems in alignment with what would be normal, but the 62 and the 40% don't.
I'll have to pull out the spreadsheet.
It's basically just the increase in the ASO fees and the stop-loss fees across year 2 and 3 of this plan. Does that make sense?
The stop loss, one thing about the stop loss is we project the stop loss forward. The stop loss premiums are not a guarantee for years 2 and 3.
They're not, that's not,
They're not a guarantee. These are a projection and an
Yes, ma'am.
estimate of what the stop loss premiums are going to be because we have to market stop loss every single year. So our actuaries and underwriters are going to do a projection of what that expected 3-year increase is going to be for stop loss.
so y'all are projecting a 62% increase year
Over-
over year. From year 1 to year 2, or year 2 to year 3.
I don't see that.
So the stop loss fees on the bottom, that's all 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Combined into one? Okay, I just
Yes,
wanted to
ma'am.
make sure we were.
I'm just taking the diff, right? I'm taking the 914 minus the 3.878, dividing that diff by 2 years, right? Year 2 and 3. It becomes 1.482 million, right? And that's a 62% increase, basically year over year. It's just a call out. I'm just asking if that's normal. It seems like an outlier.
I'll have to, I'm not comfortable with saying, yes, it's a 62% increase over a 3-year period of time. That
That
does not
seems
sound.
extreme.
Right, that does not seem reasonable.
Agreed.
So we'll have to get some more information, but
Okay.
the
Same.
numbers are projected costs based on what we estimate is gonna happen with healthcare costs, right? It never stays the same, but
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
right, a 62% increase.
I would anticipate it being roughly the same as the claim costs, right? I'm not saying that they're dollar for dollar should be the same, but I'm saying I would expect it within a range. Maybe it's 18%, maybe it's 13%, but it seems extreme at 62 and 40% increases year over year. It's just an observation. I'm just trying to understand.
Right.
Sure.
It's not unusual for that one.
I'm sure it's across the board. It just seems extreme.
Our actuaries were also being extremely conservative with these figures because of the current situation and the cash calls, and we wanted to make sure that we are budgeting accordingly. So that's a big, that may seem, they probably projected a 25% increase on the stop loss, or typically we see a 20% that we're projecting for each year.
May I ask a question on this slide here? So I think maybe some of the confusion is we're looking at 1-year total cost. We're not looking at a 1-year cost in year 3 here. We're looking at 3 years of cost.
Yes,
Total.
correct.
So that would be, like closer to 4 per year for stop loss, that kind of thing.
Right.
We're not, does that help? Are you looking at?
No, I don't
Okay,
understand. what
because,
you're
I mean, this is combined, 3 years combined years, 1, 2, 3, you add them all together, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a 3rd-year cost.
It's not a 3-year cost?
It's not a 3rd-year cost. It's combined for years, if you add up years 1, years 2, year 3, that's what your 3-year cost is, opposed to, because when I first looked at it too, I thought, okay, this is year 1 and this is year 3, wow, that's a huge jump.
No,
But
I know. But
You're saying
you're-
it's a
Yes, ma'am.
correct.
I'm taking a year 2 and 3 number, subtracting the 914 is year 1, and just evenly dispersing the rest of that number over year 2 and 3. It's still a 62% increase from year 1 to year 2. Year 2 to year 3 is a 0% increase, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
You could divide it in half, it's still 30. It's still a 62% increase. I don't know how you're having it, like, I don't know what, year two could be $1,002,000, but then you're still gonna have to make up the diff.
Are
somewhere.
we in agreement that that 3-year number, it's years, okay, go ahead.
How about this? How about year one, you're at 914, year three, you're 1.4825, that's still a 62% increase from year one to year three. How about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you take the average of year three, it's significantly higher than the cost of year one. If you divide the numbers in year three by 3, it's significantly higher than the cost of year one, I think is what we're getting at.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're taking all the increase in year two. I'm not saying that. It would make sense that you would even it out between year 2 and 3, because you'd be very lumpy if you went into year 3 with more. That's all. So if you went the smaller increase in year 2, then you'd be at a significantly different number in year 3, just on this. So I don't want to belabor the point, but that's my point. We got the Aetna guy in here. I'm sure he can answer it.
So I'm coming up with around a 40% increase, which would make sense with them being so conservative with the numbers that they would want to account for an increase that large. We're not saying that that will be reality. It's just something that we're factoring in just in case.
Okay. Understood. This sounds like this has been reviewed, so this is what it is.
Mr. Reyna?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I appreciate it. So I was one of the guys that had a lot of questions for you, and I appreciate the detail, Larry, Randy, thank you. Team that answered my questions as I'm getting up to speed on healthcare in our education system. You use words like unprecedented and majorities. I'd like to better understand when you say unprecedented, what are we talking about? Specifically, are we looking at catastrophic events that happen in a one-time thing and that's something that we look at, or are we looking at a structural problem over the last couple of years that now we have to rectify? So that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question, we talk about majorities of our employees. You know, we sit here all the time, we talk about how important our people are, and they are, right? We spend 80% of our budget on our people, and we should. And so we're about to upend a lot of those people. I want to understand what that majority number looks like. Go ahead.
2 things. When we talk about the situation that your plan is in the pooled plan that you all were in, there were quite a few districts that entered into the previous pooled arrangement that you were in, and they all experienced the same thing with an underfunded pool. So over the last couple of years or so, our organization has pulled out large districts just like yourself out of the same arrangement. Again, helping them stabilize their budget, and that was the overall goal of what that is. So that's one of the unique factors, was this arrangement that you were in. When Senate Bill 1444 passed, and it allowed a lot of districts to exit TRS, for some of them for the first time, there were a lot of new arrangements that were developed by organizations that were pretty aggressive in what they expected the savings to be, all right, and that did not come to fruition. So that is one of the unique things that you all are in. As of today, there used to be about 20 organizations or school districts that were in that arrangement. Today, there are 4 left, all right? And that excludes you all. So there are 4 districts that are remaining in that plan. So that pool is quickly becoming, it is not stable. Of course, we know that. When I talked about unprecedented, and when I talked about what is unique that's going on, and I mentioned the ER utilization, I don't want to go too deep, but it's a really big problem. It's really big, particularly in public sector, and it's significantly a bigger impact in Texas, because Texas is one of the few states that allows any freestanding ER to pop up and open up a business. Okay, there doesn't have to be a demographic need for it or anything like that. So because of that, we see these organizations that are popping up everywhere that are freestanding ERs. They target public entity groups. They target police and fire. They target schools, and they say, come here and we will take care of you. and they do not balance bill. Let's say that we have a $400 ER copay. They don't bill that copay. So employees can come there for anything with their family members and get health care for free. Okay, they don't have to pay anything. They don't have to pay the copay because they don't bill them. And then in turn, what happens is those claims then for this ER, and it happens, it's rampant here in Texas across the board. A claim may be submitted for, let's say, $500 or $1,000. Those entities may end up getting paid $5,000 because they go through this arbitration that is new, and they call it a baseball-style arbitration where they then negotiate. We are working with legislation. Aetna, Blue Cross, United, and Cigna are all working with state legislation as well as federal legislation to do whatever we can do to get this to stop and to put some ceases to this. There are some specific Senate bills in Texas that excluded non-ERISA plans. We are a non-ERISA plan that excluded us from allowing us to opt into a more aggressive point of that negotiation. So we are working with legislators as well to get them to open that up to non-ERISA plans like yourself that allow you to have more controls over those. That in itself, and what we have seen in public entities, we have seen that it go from, I'll use one public entity, where they had ER utilization in 2024 that was 1.2 million, and in 2025 and 2026 it was $10 million, the same provider. So this is what we are seeing that is absolutely unprecedented, and there are no controls in place that are going to prevent people from going to these types of organizations. We know that it was not the intent of the law that happened, but it is absolutely imploding plans across the board with respect to this. Those are the couple of things. As far as just large claimants, it's very common that we're seeing everyone across the board. There's higher cancer diagnoses that are going on. As far as MSK or musculoskeletal, those are two of the top ones that are out there. In a school district, as you know, you have lots of babies that are born within the school district, and premature babies and multiple births are becoming much, much more common, and those typically are in the millions. We had one school district where they had one baby last year that was $6 million for one child. So that is what's happening as our healthcare advances in technology, advances, and there is a cost to all of these medications and treatments that are out there. So it's unprecedented. Absolutely, it's unprecedented.
Is this working now? Sorry.
Yep.
Let's talk through the majority. When you say majority, I'd like to better understand what that means. When you say the majority of our employees or people are going to be in this plan, what's the non-majority? What are those numbers? What is that going to look like for those people being upended?
You click to the slide that shows the enrollment, right?
11.
Oops. So this one right here that we talked about, where your employees are enrolling. Today, where you see you have, let's see, that's 9, 10, 14 employees are enrolled in that high plan. You have the other 62, 423, and 3 are enrolled in that mid plan. And then when we talk about the majority of the enrollment, this is where the majority of your employees, the plan that they are choosing today, is that low plan and that high deductible health plan. So when we look at the plans and compare their plan designs, when we talk about plan designs, deductibles, copays, out-of-pocket, and we look to see what really is the difference between those plans that are out there. What is it that's going to drive someone to go to those plans that makes it a better or worse plan? There wasn't enough of a difference in plan design values to warrant us to keep those two plans out there.
That makes sense. Sorry, last question.
No, go. Yeah.
So this, obviously this looks like a 3-year plan. Love the strategy here, right? So with that same thought process in mind, what are the indicators? What are the metrics? What are the things that we need to be looking at to see if we need to relook our design? We need to look at our contributions. What are those things that we're going to be focusing on over this next couple of years?
So this is an ongoing process. This is not something that we look at once a year. When we talked about your financial monitoring report that we get and we see what your cost drivers are, we will be developing programs alongside with Aetna that are going to address what some of those high-cost claimants are happening within the plan and helping people manage. Let's say it's diabetes. Let's say there's a new medication that comes out, and it's a $100,000 medication. We want to make sure that we have the appropriate prior authorizations in place so that people are getting that medication appropriately. There are also many plans that are always being developed. You know, Aetna does not sit still. Blue Cross, Cigna, United do not sit still. I don't know if you've ever heard of Curative, but they're a plan that was developed locally here in Austin. The billboards were no deductibles, no copays, no really. So that was a plan that was very popular for a while, but it ran its course as well. They resulted in 40% rate increases, but it was a really good plan for just a couple of years that were out there. The other thing that we're going to be looking at every single year is TRS Active Care. That is continuing to evolve as well. Every school district that we work with, or ones that we talk to, we say, is it best for you to be in TRS Active Care or best for you to be out, financially as well as with the plan design? TRS Active Care, they struggle, of course, financially as well, and they're always getting subsidized by the state by additional funding. That's going to continue to evolve as well. We want to make sure that your plans are competitive with TRS. If you can beat the TRS deal, if not, then we will recommend that you go back into TRS if that is the better decision financially as well as for your employee and their benefit plans.
Awesome. I guess the last thing I'd ask is, as the leadership team, I'd like to have the same level of visibility with this moving forward as we do with everything else. So annual workshops, or to spin us up on better understanding the very complex problem. Understanding how the employee experiences, those are also things I'd love to see as we move forward.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. You have our commitment.
Ms. Shaw?
Yes, just following up on, employee experience. Anytime there's a new plan, there's always kind of a learning curve, and people are used to what they're used to, and I'm just wondering how you kind of monitor, employee experience and satisfaction with what we do going forward.
Sure. As we are introducing this plan, we've already started with the communications that are going out there as far as educating the employees. They will be given all of the appropriate tools to ensure that their physicians are on the plan and there's no disruption with respect to their care. As far as the ongoing management of it, Aetna also tracks what we call the Net Promoter Scores. I'm sure you're familiar with that as well. But the only way we can track a Net Promoter Score typically is if someone calls into customer service and provides that feedback that's there. We will also manage that. We have many employers that will do employee feedback surveys. What is your satisfaction with the plan? How are you feeling about the plan? Those types of things. What can we do to improve that? We would certainly encourage the district to do that. We know many times employees can be surveyed to death, so we want to be very mindful about the timing of that and how it is that we obtain that feedback. But we're certainly open to any suggestions that you have, but we want to make sure that your employees are feeling extremely satisfied, and that's what Aetna strives for as well.
Thank you guys for the presentation, and thank you for laying it out like you have for us. I'm sure you'll follow up with Mr. Krasinski and the board and Dr. Chapman on his question over there on that particular slide. I would like to say, I think sometimes having 4 plan options, sometimes, not to say that our employees weren't educated on what each plan really meant, but sometimes less options is better. And as long as our employees are being communicated of what all that entails, which sounds like you already have a plan in place, like Mr. Reyna said, I just feel like we're the voice for those employees right now. And so as long as there's communication, which I'm highly confident that there will be, of what is provided, because some people are going to say, well, we had 4 options, now we have 2, you're kind of limiting us. But I think you're very knowledgeable, and I'm sure Aetna, being who they are, I just do want to say one thing publicly. The district is in a position, we are very aware of that, of our previous carrier and the money that we're still owed, if you will, just that that we're still fighting to obtain that, and that has not been forgotten. So I just want to, and I know you made reference to that multiple times,
Yes.
but I do think it's important because it's a problem, like you said, and it's rampant and it's all over and it's not right. So we're still going to fight for that money. But anyway, board members, anything else? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion regarding this agenda item?
Madam President,
Ms. Shaw?
I move to approve the health, pharmaceutical, and stop-loss coverage proposal and necessary insurance rate adjustments as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have any further discussion? I have a motion from Ms. Shaw and a second from Mr. Reyna. All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. All right, the next agenda item is 7C, consideration and possible approval of the 26-27 Comal County Sheriff's Office interlocal agreement for law enforcement services. I will turn it over to Mr. Corby Wonderlich.
Good evening, President Biasotti, members of the board, and Dr. Chapman. Tonight I am presenting for your consideration the interlocal agreement for law enforcement services between Comal Independent School District and the Comal County Sheriff's Office. To ensure the safety and security of our students, staff, and facilities, Comal ISD enters into an annual interlocal agreement with the Sheriff's Office. Under this agreement, the Comal County Sheriff's Office will assign 38 deputies to serve in the School Resource Officer Program. This ensures that every Comal ISD campus located in Comal County will have an assigned dedicated SRO for the 26-27 school year. In addition, the agreement outlines several key provisions, including coverage during summer school sessions, clearly defined duties and responsibilities for each SRO while on campus, and requirements for all mandated state and district training. It also formalizes the ongoing partnership and communication channels between the district and the Sheriff's Office. Approval of this agreement will strengthen collaboration with our law enforcement partners, streamline communication, maximize resource efficiency, and support a coordinated and standardized emergency response across the district. The administration recommends the approval that the Board of Trustees approve the interlocal agreement for law enforcement services for the 26-27 school year. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Madam President. And Mr. Warnick, thank you. Could you kind of speak to some of the improvements in communication that you you mentioned?
I'm going to let Mr. Vitus, our
Awesome.
Director of Safety and Security, talk through that.
Good evening. As far as communications go, I think it's going to improve with the leadership structure within the Comal County Sheriff's Department, within their SRO division, with their supervisors they have, the sergeants, the corporals, the direct lines of communication that we have with them from the SOC here at Support Services, within our division, within our department up there. We've got constant communication with them, weekly, daily, monthly meetings with them. Yeah, just a great relationship with Comal County Sheriff's Department, with the schools that they're already covering prior to this adjustment to the MOU.
Just want to highlight that dedicated leadership structure. That division of the Sheriff's Office focuses on our school resource officers, ensuring that two-way communication. If they're getting information about an incident, maybe in the evening, that's coming directly to our staff, things of that nature, and back and forth. But that dedicated structure, where that division is fully focused on our needs, really enhances that relationship for us.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Madam President. I know that there have been, situations in the past where we might have had some officers called off of our school property to handle things like, traffic accidents on 281 and that kind of thing. Do we have a guarantee that that's not going to happen anymore?
Yes, ma'am. In this agreement, you'll see it constitutes 38 officers. Want to highlight the forthright planning of the Sheriff's Office. They're already they're proceeding with considering our two campuses that are opening in the 27 school year. Their budget cycle runs a little bit different than ours, so they're go ahead and being forthright with ensuring that they're planning for that for the 27-28 school year. But to answer your question, basically you have 34 billable officers on the campus. That includes 2 rovers to ensure that if an officer is pulled away, there's an arrest made on campus and they have to transport a student, they have to be out for training, they have to be out for just vacation or sick leave, we are always have an officer on our campus. I want to highlight also that this is not a rotating service. Each campus will have their own individual dedicated officer to their campus at all times. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Reyna?
Yeah, does Comal sheriffs, do they leave the SRO officer in the same school?
Let Mr. Vitus take that one.
Yeah, they will be making the assignments. They'll come around either late July, early August before the semester starts, and yeah, they'll make the decision that each SRO will be assigned to campus. That way they get to know the staff, they get to know the administration, the students. They will not be pulled. They'll be assigned accordingly based upon everything, school needs, administration needs, what the principals want, what the teachers want, what the history is behind the school, what they know. Comal County is familiar with our campuses, even the campuses that may be assigned as a result of this MOU that they didn't have last year. And the SROs will be assigned accordingly and will be for the year.
We will be a part of that process of ensuring that the SROs are working with the Sheriff's Office to ensure that we have a good fits for our campus. So we'll be included in that process.
Yep. The follow-up is because, we've heard family members, speak to the connections that people have with, or kids have and families have with their SROs currently today. And so when I'm...
Yeah, you won't hear me disagree with the great work that the Bulverde Police Department has done. Those gentlemen have served our schools well. We just feel like the resources available through the Comal County Sheriff's Office to ensure the safety and security of our kids is better met by the Comal County Sheriff's Office at this time.
100%. Thank you.
I would like to say just a few things. Because of some premature information that was shared prior to the district even making any decisions on this, there's been a lot of misinformation being spread. And as of today, the 6 schools that were affected, that are going to be affected by this change, received a letter. Really, I'm holding it in my hands. I've looked it over. It's very detailed. Every single campus will, like you just said, will be covered, and no officer is losing a job. There's opportunity for officers to work as a sheriff, as a SRO.
If they choose to apply
If they
with
choose
the
to
Comal
apply,
County
right.
Sheriff's Office, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so Comal ISD is not firing anyone. We're streamlining district safety and security procedures and protocols, ultimately for the safety of all of our children. And I firmly and strongly believe that this is what's best for the district. Just in recent and past experiences that we've seen, not only here but other places, the communication piece and the streamline is very, very important. And that is the number one importance to me as a board member and as a parent. So just wanted to say that. And thank you for your work behind this and your, like I said, almost combating the misconceptions that are out there. But I appreciate your work and that what your team has done in trying to communicate that with the 6 campuses that are being affected. So thank you. Board members, are there any other discussion? Do I have a motion regarding this item?
President Biasotti.
Mr. Krasinski.
I move to approve the 2026-2027 interlocal agreement with Comal County Sheriff's Office as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Krasinski and a second for Mr. Garner. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. The next item is 7D, consideration and possible approval of the recommendation for Major Middle School's mascot. I will turn it over to Ms. Christina Eckert.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Chapman. Tonight, the administration is bringing to you for your consideration and possible approval a recommendation for the mascot at Dr. Jerry Major Middle School. You may remember we started the naming process last summer in July when we opened the name nomination process. We had a series of meetings throughout the fall and the winter, and then this board approved the name in March of 2026. That's when we started the selection of the mascot in May, which we are presenting to you this evening. So to gather submissions for review, the Communications Department opened a public mascot nomination process from May 15th through May 29th of this year. Nominations were promoted via social media, posts on campus channels, in emails to parents, and then principal newsletters. We reached out to the Mayfair, Oak Creek, and Fry Height elementary communities, which are the feeder elementaries for Dr. Jerry Major Middle School. The nomination process received 131 nominations, and these were the top responses in the order of most votes: Lions, Pumas, and Lynx. It should be noted that the Lions are not currently used as a mascot by an existing Comal ISD campus, making the nomination available for consideration. So, it is the recommendation of the administration and the superintendent tonight that the Board of Trustees approve Lions as the mascot for Major Middle School.
Thank you, Ms. Eckert. It's always interesting to get these nominations. You just never know what you're going to get. But I will say, speaking also on behalf of Mr. Hennessy, who is a Cougar representative, he definitely approves the Lions, being a cat in that family. Out of the three, Lions is definitely my favorite. Just, when you start to chant a team name, it's like, go Lynx. Like, I don't know about that. But I do appreciate the nomination committee coming through and giving us at least some options to choose. So, board members, any discussion? All right. Are you sure? Do I have a motion regarding this item?
Madam President,
Mrs. Jones.
I move to approve the Lions as the mascot for Major Middle School as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Jones and a second from Mr. Garner. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is 7E, consideration and possible approval of the 26-27 maintenance and operations interest in sinking and child nutrition budgets and line items. I'll turn it over to Mr. Larry Guerra.
Thank you, President Biasotti. Good evening, and good evening, Dr. Chapman and the board. So tonight, as you know, we're presenting for consideration and approval the 2026-2027 maintenance and operations interest in sinking and child nutrition budgets. And as y'all know, starting back in February, we had the first of 6 board budget workshops, culminating with a public hearing that was held earlier this afternoon. The meeting was held in accordance with Texas state law, meeting all requirements. It'll be the recommendation of the board of the district and the superintendent that the Board of Trustees approve the 2026 and 2027 maintenance and operations interest in sinking child nutrition budget and line items as presented. If you have any questions on the budget, we'll take them now.
Board members, do we have any questions? Do I have a motion regarding this agenda item?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Reyna, a second from Mr. Krasinski. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is 7F, consideration and possible approval of the purchase of an advanced emergency notification system. I will turn it over to Mr. Scott Monroe.
Good evening, President Biasotti, Dr. Chairman, members of the board. Appreciate y'all giving us time to talk about an exciting security and safety improvement to our telephone system. So there's several pieces of legislation that have gone in place over the last several years that come into play with large multi-line telephone systems. One of them carries law. Really, it's a little bit older legislation, and its main focus was making sure that people could dial 911 easily, and so it dictated things like you can't have to press 9 or star or anything to get an outside line before you dial 911. It came about after someone passed away when a 9-year-old couldn't get an outside line to dial 911 in a hotel. It also required that someone on site at the location where that's dialed, if it's a large complex, be notified that 911 was dialed. And we do comply with those things. Ray Baum's Act is a little trickier. That is now saying that you have to have a dispatchable location that's transmitted to the PSAP, the Public Safety Answering Point. And so currently with the existing, what's called E911 systems, we use a system within our Cisco phone system to transmit the street address of campuses. So even though all phone calls come out of actually this building when someone dials 911, our system's able to pin up to 20 characters to that call that tells the PSAP the street address of that location. But this legislation actually spells out that the street address and any additional information that's needed to locate the calling party in a reasonable amount of time, which is kind of a little bit of a nebulous decision, right? And when you think about some of our really large locations like Swiss Valley High School, Piper, or Canyon High School, just a street address probably doesn't fall into the category of being able to locate someone at a reasonable amount of time. If, for say, someone called 911 after hours and isn't able to complete the call because they become unconscious or something and they need to locate that individual, those are very large locations. And the challenge with that is, like I said, is the existing systems through our telecommunication providers like GVTC can only handle 20 characters of information. So our street addresses pretty much take up the space that we could send that information to. And so what's been happening in the industry over the last few years is this transition to what's being referred to as next-gen 911, where rich multimedia data can actually be transmitted directly to these public safety answering points, the 911 dispatchers, giving them detailed information about the location. And so we've been investigating these different platforms, looking at both things that could plug in and enhance our Cisco phone system. And when we did that, the one that really stood out was a system called 911 Inform. Some of the things that stood out about it is that it actually takes detailed floor plans of all of our buildings, every floor of every building, maps our phones to exact GPS locations within those buildings, and transmits those files directly to the 911 provider outside of our phone system over the internet. So it's simultaneous to the audio call. The dispatchers get this floor plan of our building, exactly where that 911 location of that phone is that's being called. And it also can integrate into our Verkada system and provide even more enhancements if we choose to head down that path, to where if it's after hours, they could actually get a camera feed of that location and things like that. Also, we'll provide all of that information directly into our SOC so that Mr. Whitehead and his team know that 911 has been dialed, and they also get that exact floor plan location. And one of the other features that stood out about this system that nothing else we looked at would do is it also allows us to geofence all of our school locations with the property lines and get a notification when a private cell phone dials 911. So this is a cell phone that's completely off of our network. So they scrape this information from all of the carriers. As those calls go directly to the dispatch centers, that information is picked up, and then we can actually display within our SOC here, get a notification that 911 has been called from a personal cell phone. Now, we can't see the number that called it or any personal information about that individual, but we do at least know the exact location that a 911 call was made on a cell phone, so we know there is some emergency going on that we wouldn't have otherwise been aware of. Like I said, there's no relationship with the caller required. Went out to request quotes on this system, and we selected the lowest cost providers. We're sort of split. We had the lowest cost price on the licensing and implementation services from 911 Inform from Xfinity, and then the engineering and configuration to tie this to our Cisco phone system from Computer Solutions. So we're asking for purchasing authority of $428,986.12. Which includes a 10% contingency for a 3-year cost to implement the system coming out of the 2023 security bond. As you can see, that it's a fairly heavy, labor-intensive thing to map every single one of our 3,360 phones to an exact location and build these maps. And so most of the costs are in year 1 and getting it configured. Year 2 on, it's under $70,000 a year, so it's a really affordable system to add an additional level of safety to make sure that emergency responders can find any staff or student that's in need. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Mr. Garner?
Mr. Monroe, thank you for the presentation. I just had a question on the, with that 3-year cost, is there, beyond the 3rd year, is there some guarantee that their costs aren't gonna skyrocket to maintain, you know, the system beyond 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, at 3 years, as far as they will lock in, obviously, we're seeing, you know, anywhere in the 8 to 10% a year sort of inflation rates. We try to lock those in. I wouldn't anticipate, you know, a major increase, like it's going to go up into the hundreds of thousands. I mean, we have been surprised by some companies like the Broadcom after the purchase of VMware, you know, where we saw 40, 50% increases in 1 year. I would not expect that with this provider. They're very pervasive, and they are connected into all of the PSAPs. So I wouldn't anticipate that, but that's as far out as they will lock it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Reyna?
Yes. So as I read this, implementation after year 1, like it's going to be implemented after year 1, or am I reading this like it's going to take 3 years to?
Oh no, all the implementation will be in a matter of months, hopefully in the 6-month time frame.
Okay.
And that's just the year 1 costs are those first 2 numbers. I'm sorry, yeah, there we go. The 136, 877, and 114 are the 2 different vendors that are doing and that includes all of the licensing and services from Inform 911 in the first year. So that's included in that 136. That's basically the 69,000 in licensing plus all of the services where 911 makes all of the floor plan maps and creates all of that information. And then the 114 is a company to actually come in and map all of our Cisco phones and tie it into our Cisco phone system. Computer Solutions helps us maintain our phone system.
And follow-on question, is there integration or configurations of some type with the current infrastructure that we have, with everything that we have in our Tactical Operations Command Center and all the goodness?
Right. Well, they will have an interface into the 911 Inform system, like I said. So when these alerts go to the PSAPs, they'll also be able to pull it up and get that on the screens in the Security Operations Center, like I mentioned. And if we choose to go down this path, this company now has an integration with Verkada, where we can allow, if we turn that on to, like if there's an emergency responder, and they get this floor plan of the building with the 911 location, they can actually get camera icons there to where they can click on one of our cameras that we saw as the Verkada system and get a feed of what they're walking into in that situation, or even unlock a door if it was necessary.
Yep, love it. Thank you.
I have a question about the geofencing. Is it just the perimeter of our campuses, or does it go beyond that, like into subdivisions that are near, or?
We'll get to draw that geofence out. It kind of makes sense to actually extend it across the street, you know, maybe a block in some ways, just so you know there may be an emergency situation like an accident or something that's happened on the street out front. So it'll expand just a little bit.
Okay. And one more question about the on campus. So if I'm on campus but I'm not a staff member and I call 911, will it alert, or is it only your staff that's designated that it would alert with text messages to your?
Sorry.
Like the way I'm reading it is from a location on a digitized floor plan, an immediate alert will be sent to the designated staff. Anybody that calls 911 while on campus.
Right, so when there's somebody dials 911 on campus, right, that floor plans will go to the public safety, you know, answering point. Those will go to our SOC. But we also then can choose to send that to like the principal cell phone as a text message, which we already do. We have a list right now of people that receive a text when 911 is called on a campus. All we can do right now is send them that this extension dialed 911, but we already sort of have a list of people who get that notification, and the safety team as well as campus administration.
But if I'm on
so
my
they'll just get this richer information.
So if I'm on my cell phone and I'm in the cafeteria, it'll alert that 911 was called in the cafeteria? Or is it only? Yes, okay. All right, awesome. That's great. Board members, any further discussion? Okay.
Madam President.
Mr. Gartner.
I move to approve the purchase of 3 years of advanced emergency notification licenses and services from Zinfinity in the amount not to exceed $275,181.48 and associated installation services from Computer Solutions Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $114,805.90 plus a 10% contingency for a total purchasing authorization of $428,986.12 as presented.
Second.
Ooh. I have a motion from Mr. Garner and a second from Ms. Jones. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. Thank you. All right, the next agenda item is number 8, closed session and as authorized under Texas Government Code, including but not limited to sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.0821, 551.084, and 551.089. Item 8A, pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with legal counsel concerning legal issues related to pending litigation in the matter styled Outer Loop Utility LLC versus Comal ISD, Comal Independent School District, eminent domain proceeding located in Comal County, Texas, case number 2026CV0262 in the County Court at Law Number 3, Comal County, Texas. Audience members, you are welcome to remain in the boardroom as board members recess for deliberation, or you may go home. The time now is 9:41 p.m. Oh, gosh, hello. The next agenda, we're now reconvening in open session, and the time is 10:27 p.m. The next agenda item is number 9, action items, and 9A, consider to take possible action regarding pending litigation in the matter styled Outer Loop Utility LLC versus Comal Independent School District, eminent domain proceeding located in Comal County, Texas, case number 2026CV0262 in the County Court of at Law, number 3, Comal County, Texas. Board, is there any discussion? Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, President Biasotti. Obviously, 9A is a hot topic that we've been talking about for a minute now, but I think for a little bit of more awareness, we've got a company who is condemning our publicly held land, and I've got some concerns. I've got safety concerns, I've got water supply concerns, all for a company who is condemning our land at one of our high schools, at Davenport High School. So that is the long and short of it, but I'm very concerned. This is my feeder pattern. Obviously, we've got constituents, we've got kids, we've got safety concerns. I know that staff and everybody is doing what they can, but I think as we move forward here, we definitely need to raise awareness around this particular issue. So, thank you.
Board members, any more discussion? All right, do I have a motion regarding this agenda item?
Madam President,
Ms. Shaw?
I move that the board proceed as discussed in closed session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Shaw and a second from Mr. Krasinski. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. Our last agenda item of the evening is 10, adjournment. Our next regular scheduled board meeting will be held Thursday, August 27th at 7 p.m. here in the boardroom. Ladies and gentlemen, there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 10:29 p.m.